I'm just hoping I'm not getting sick.
We can only hope, Christian. Give you some emergency or some other vitamins before you leave.
I did the emergency.
And here we are.
In Dayquil.
Dayquil.
Just in case.
Just in case. Dayquil doesn't actually do anything for you, though. It just hides your symptoms.
That's what I needed.
Sure, I guess.
If they're there.
If you want to spread them to your family, Christian, that's fine. You go ahead and do that.
If I would have called it up or texted you and said, I'm sick, I can't come, you'd have been like, he's lazy. He wants to sleep.
No, I probably would have been like, okay, well, you ruined everything as per usual, but it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, so this is the first time, I think, in the history of the show and Sleep with the Lights On that we actually did an episode of the subject after it aired on Sleep with the Lights On. I want to say it's probably a month or so back at this point, but we are diving into some more babysitter horror stories.
Yeah, that should be After Dark Babysitter Horrors.
Babysitter Horrors, maybe, but this is not that. And speaking of After Dark, after this episode airs, we're beginning to record some of the weirdest stuff that has ever been put together for the show. That is the TFT the Musical and TFT After Dark. 2 different shows. We're going to see exactly how into the show people are. That's the idea, is that we're going to make it as weird and unique as possible. And honestly, the idea is just pretty much alternate reality, the freaky deaky. You know, if we split into different realities, these shows are just going to be our show, but a little different, you know?
I like the multiverse.
Exactly. It's going to be the freaky verse.
What I won't like is when we finally get to do a live show and we have to do a musical and you and I have to get up and sing on stage.
Do like a whole dance number. That's not going to be fun. That show, TFT the Musical, is honestly like, and I can't stress this enough, the weirdest thing that I've ever put out in my life. Second to none. I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's a ghost story, right? Ghost. Yeah, it is, but it's unapologetically me. If you have any grasp of how strange of a person I am and you listen to TFT the Musical, you're going to be like, wow, this is him, unashamed. And it's true. And it's a good time. Well, we'll see if it's a good time. You guys can decide that when it comes out. But for me, I have been laughing hysterically putting it together. And yeah, so that's fun.
We shall see.
Speaking of fun, here's the introduction to our show. We'll see you on the inside. You are now entering the realm of the freaky deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically. And now that we're on the inside, folks, welcome back to the Freaky Deaky. If you are new to the show, we ask one thing of you, and that's that you take a minute out of your day to leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening. It really does help us grow out. If you listen to the episode in its entirety and you like what you hear and you're like, oh, I want these guys to keep doing what they're doing, just leave a review. That's it. That's all you got to do. You don't got to buy merch, even though you can at thefreakydeaky.com. You don't got to donate, even though you can at thefreakydeaky.com. You can honestly just leave a 5-star review, and that helps us out just as much, and we'll love you forever. You can find our ideal target audience in the Facebook group on our Facebook page at Freaky Deaky Pod. We'll see you there. You can talk to us, suggest episodes. You can question why we censor certain things, which seems to be a hot topic at the moment of recording this. If I had known that so many people would reach out to me and be like, what was that word that was censored in the witch episode? I probably would have done it again because it's hilarious, and that's fine, but you guys don't need to hear that. But you can find us and talk to us over on the Freaky Deaky Facebook group. We love getting to know you guys. And by we love it, I mean we do it. Anyway, let's get into these stories, huh? Babysitters. Christian, did you have a babysitter growing up?
I had a few.
Oh, yeah. And were you attracted to any of them? Probably.
There was one.
What was his name? No. It's fine.
His name was Biff.
Biff, hell yeah. Yeah, he sounds attractive. Sounds so hot. I remember maybe one babysitter too. It was too far back, Christian. I'm like 75 years old at this point, dog years, and it's too much.
I think The first time I played with the Ouija board, it was with this babysitter.
Wow. Worst babysitter of all time, turns out. Isn't that the way it goes?
If you believe games are filled with demons, yeah.
And we do. So
You do.
So it works. It works out. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into this first story before we bore our listeners into a stupor. It's called Quack, Quack. And it's by Plautus Volpes. Or Volpes? Volpes? Who cares?
Volpe sounds right.
Now we got that out of the way. Let's dive in. Splash. That was such a fun soundbite for the summer break episodes. There's been a lot of iterations of this show, Christian. Over the 4.5 years, there's been like 50 different iterations of the Freaky Deaky.
You're welcome, people.
Only one has remained so far. We'll see how After Dark and the musical goes. But for now, what we got? Anyway, because I was babysitting 2 boys, an 8-month-old and a 3-year-old a few weeks ago. I'd gotten both down to sleep around 8:30 and went to relax on the couch with the monitor so I could keep an eye on them. About an hour later, I clearly heard a man's voice say, "Quack, quack, quack." And then both boys suddenly started screaming and crying. It was bizarre. I rushed to their room to soothe them back to sleep. There was nothing there, no one at the window, and no toys that could have made the noise. All their toys are kept in the playroom. I was just flabbergasted about the quacking. The baby went right back to sleep, but the 3-year-old was clearly shaken. When I asked him what happened, all he could say was, "Ow." And it took about an hour to get him back to sleep. Weird. Disembodied voice just saying quack, quack over a baby monitor. Here's the thing for the skeptics out there. I know there's a lot of stuff that can happen with baby monitors in particular. There's all kinds of horror stories out there of, people hacking monitors or just weird interference. I don't know how they work technically, but I know it's kind of probably like the loosest security you could have.
I mean, it's just basically a simple setup.
Yeah, so it's easy to get into.
Right.
Or you can pick up weird phone calls from like down the street or something like that sometime. I know there's certain brands that have some really fishy things that go on. This is probably a great episode for all the skeptics. They'll be like, oh, it's easy. It's just radio interference or blah, 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 or whatever. But still kind of creepy.
I feel like this one is more of an auditory hallucination with the weird thing happening with the kids at the same time.
Babysitter has an auditory hallucination at the exact moment that both the kids wake up screaming.
Theoretically, this could happen only because, and hear me out, because this could be a thing. So the babysitter gets this weird, maybe she's starting to doze off, who knows, auditory hallucination.
Sure.
But there's something that would have maybe, in this case, caused it that affected the babies. Does that, you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily, in this case, like there was interference on the baby monitor.
So it's 2 isolated incidents is what you're saying that happened at the same time?
Maybe they're connected, like like an infrasound type of thing that we can pick up. Maybe it's something like that, not infrasound in this case, but some weird change in the energy that freaked out the kids.
The audio.
You can't trust kids in these kids situations.
You can't trust kids at all. They're monsters, all of them.
Only because, one thing, they're super young, but also they're terrified.
That is true.
And when they're terrified, sometimes things don't make sense to them or you.
Or anyone for that matter.
Right.
If it is a hallucination of sorts, the fact that the audio was quack, 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 very strange. And very strange way to scare a child, turns out, as well. Unless it's like a duck monster man that is hiding in the closet,
But I'm sure you've had instances where you're dozing off and you hear like a random word or phrase or something.
It's usually my name.
That makes no sense. Yeah, mine. A lot of times mine too. So maybe
they say in those moments that it is the other side. Actually, I think most folks that were raised religious, it's when you hear your name, especially when you're dozing off, you're supposed to answer it.
Fuck that, man. Every story I've ever heard says do not answer that crap.
Exactly. But see, that's the creepy thing. So I remember growing up and stuff, and if I told my mom that, she would tell me to answer it because it's a message for me from like God or something like that. And I'm like, 12 or whatever, and just like staring at her like, I'm alone in the dark when this happens. I'm not trying to, welcome in any God, angels, or otherwise. I just wanted to sleep.
I had an Hawaiian baseball coach back in high school, and on our way to games, he would tell us kind of spooky Hawaiian tales, and he was totally do not answer anything like that.
It's pretty much frowned upon across the board unless you're, let's just be honest, white. No, it was just a weird thing, and I remember because it's always like this kind of subtle thing where it's just like Scott, like snap awake. And you're supposed to be like, yes, Lord. You know,
That's
that would just be creepy. You know, he walks in your room. Hey, what's up, man? I know it's a weird hour, but
it's fascinating on this to hear you say that, because every other culture from probably before Christianity is like, don't answer that. And Christians come along and it's like,
no, it's fine. Answer it.
They're like, don't do this because of demons. Don't mess with the Ouija board because of demons.
Exactly.
But if a voice calls out in the night, answer it because it's God. But what if it's a demon?
I mean, it could go either way, honestly, but we don't have the story without answering it, you know?
Yeah.
And reverting back to children's being and saying creepy things, we were kind of talking to you yesterday about I had to throw away the black mirror that's in the studio because of my son freaking your daughter out. And he kind of freaked me out a little bit too, because most of the time, like I told you about his dishwasher thing where he makes me take him in the kitchen to show him that the red lights on the dishwasher aren't eyes, but actually just our dishwasher, right? And so he gets a little scared of certain things. He's scared of like the guest bathroom right now and stuff where you're like, yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of dark up there, you know? But our studio is at the end of a long hallway and it's pitch black out there most of the time, especially in the mornings and at night. And so I remember I was getting something ready yesterday, you know, getting his breakfast or something like that. And he keeps mentioning, he's like, scared? I'm like, what are you scared of, dude? And he's like, studio, scared of shop. I'm like, all right, what's wrong with the shop? And he was like knocking on the door. And I'm like, what? He's like, monster in shop. I'm like, no. I was like, are you talking about the cotton? We got rid of the cotton. He's like, no, monster in studio. I'm like, okay. What does it look like? And he's like, monster in studio knocking on door. I'm like, okay, that's a little much for me, dude. It's fine if you like think you see something, but if it's now something's knocking on the door trying to get in, I'm okay. Because he said the same thing about the kitchen door that leads out to the studio. And so when your daughter woke up or whatever, she came down, I went outside. And when I come back in, she was saying that she was freaked out because she was praying with him. And in the middle of her prayer, like he was silent and kind of scared or whatever. In the middle of her prayer, like he says, Mama, something next to you, someone by you. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of creepy. I was like, I told her, I'm like, hey, maybe it was an angel. You know, he's taking down the message. Like, don't worry, I'll deliver this. You know, she was like, he didn't look like he was okay. He looked scared. I'm like, well, the first thing that a lot of angels say is, hey, don't be afraid. You know, so I imagine it's kind of spooky looking, especially for a 2-year-old. But that's the first time he said anything that had to do with like audio or hearing something as well as like seeing something. And so I was like, okay. And she looked at me and she was like, you need to get rid of that. Whatever it is in the studio that's kind of creepy. I'm like, oh, I got in there. It's like a black mirror that I bought months and months and months and months ago. Do you want me? I can throw that away if you'd like.
There's a Bigfoot costume right over there, man.
That is true, but it's all in a pile. And he doesn't actually come in here for the most part. But yeah, so I'm not sure if you've seen that or not.
I think he's playing off you guys because he doesn't get like that with me.
We don't ever talk about monsters or anything scary. I mean, China said that the heater's going to get you and he hasn't let that go for
no, he hasn't
forever. And I'm like, you realize you traumatized our son. Everyone thought it was going to be me scaring the shit out of him. Nope. It was his mom talking about a heater.
But he does go and hide in the closet in the dark like it's no big deal. So.
Exactly. Just saying that sometimes, you know, kids can say creepy shit and sometimes you believe them and sometimes you don't. And in this case, I was like, well, at the very least, I could get rid of the black mirror. And if you still have someone knocking on the door, I don't know what to tell you. I should have just given it to you, actually. I was like, that's a cool little mirror. I like that thing.
I know. I'm sitting here a little disappointed in you.
I know. It's in the trash can right now if you want to go and grab it.
Could hang out with John D.
You sure could. You probably could.
Do some
report back for the show. Absolutely. Anyway, all that to lead into this next story called The Phone Call by Dr. B82 or DRB82. I'm going to give you a doctor title. How's that? It says, one time I was watching my brother. He was a baby at the time and he had this really distinctive cry. Anyway, this was back in the 90s and we still had a landline. At some point in the night, the phone rang and I picked it up. I heard my mom and dad in the background talking, almost like a butt dial, with no one directly speaking into the phone, and I heard my brother crying too. But I wasn't hearing him crying at the house with me, where he actually was. I was hearing him crying over the phone. I swear it was my parents' voices and my brother's cry, but it couldn't have been because my brother was home with me. Eventually, the phone call stopped and I hung up. About 15 minutes later, my parents called. When I asked them if they had just called, they said they hadn't called all night. So it might be more of a weird glitch in the Matrix story than paranormal, but it was fucking creepy. That's kind of weird. I've been, just with like the stuff I've been looking into recently, I've been diving into a lot of phone call stories, like weird wires crossing and whatnot. Something about them, man. Something about them.
I feel like some of the weird phone call stuff doesn't really come from cell phones anymore. Like cell phones are different.
Sure.
At least it feels like it. Maybe we just haven't caught up with that yet, but a lot of the creepy phone calls are like landlines from the 90s and before. Maybe demons do exist. They don't.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought I'd give it a shot.
Dude, I heard a thing on a podcast I was listening to.
Was it ours? And was it about demons existing?
It mentioned it was about ghosts, but and it wasn't ours. But they were talking about England is about ghosts. America is about demons. And I found that kind of fascinating.
Yeah, if you want to just make shit up.
No, seriously, when you hear the stories, America does focus more on demons than ghosts compared to England.
I'm not sure. I think you'd have to really put in a focus group on that type of information to...
That's why I'm putting it out there.
Oh, you're trying to... Okay, gotcha.
I'm trying, like, it's something that made me think, and I'm like, it kind of is true. You know, what do the English do around Christmas? They tell ghost stories. And
what do we do around Christmas? We tell demon stories, of course. Of course. That's what we do.
That's our Christmas tradition. We took it from our English forefathers.
Wow. You feel like someone that wishes that America didn't break off from England back in the day.
No,
it feels like you wish you were like English.
No, I like English stuff, but
I know.
I'm fine with this breaking off.
It was amicable. No, it wasn't. It's fine. Anyway.
The king was crazy at the time.
Aren't they always? And actually, speaking of phone calls, we did an episode Sleep with the Lights On. We are going to do a companion episode of the podcast as well with that, because those stories get me every time as well. And again, kind of quote unquote easy to explain in a lot of instances. And then there's somewhere like just head scratchers where like, wow, doesn't sound like lines were crossed or anything like that. It sounds like perhaps
maybe demons do exist. They don't, but
since we're in America, I have to say demons.
Yeah, but the baby crying on the phone with the parents was kind of fascinating.
There is really a distinctive cry. Like, you know, your kids cry.
Or your brothers.
Or your brothers. Or your sisters.
Just family members. You know them.
You know their sounds.
Yeah.
A lot of people can tell their dogs bark, you know?
I get that.
I hear my dog's barking in the distance. He must have gotten out. Anyway, let's get into this next one. It's called A Voice. That's by Suspect Large. A little messed up, but all right. Says, I used to work as a babysitter a couple years ago, and I think the house was haunted. I would often hear kids yelling or crying. One time, when the boys I looked after were napping, I heard a child crying. I assumed one of them had woken up, but when I went to check, they were still sound asleep. This happened to me a lot. I eventually mentioned it to the boy's mom because I thought maybe I was imagining things, but she said she had heard the same noises. Another day, I was with the middle child in the kitchen while a mom was out shopping with the other two. I was cooking lunch when we both heard the voice of a child again. The boy started calling out the names of his siblings, thinking they had returned home, but there was no one else there. Just the two of us. Just the two. In the end,
we can make it if we try.
Yeah, that's a great song for this story. In the end, it didn't even matter. No, I'm just kidding. In the end, I think I just got used to it. Weird. I actually got recently, and what's up, Seth? I got a voicemail from Seth talking about, he was the one that mentioned the mimics, and he's the one that went out and talking about crawlers and stuff like that. He'll leave us voicemails occasionally. Super cool dude. He left another voicemail with another instance of the same thing where he hears like one of his daughters calling out for daddy, and he goes in and asks, she's like, I didn't call you, but he hears it like multiple times. And so I think with the voicemails, because we got a little bit of a catalog on the voicemails now, we may just do a video for it or something along those lines and just release it on YouTube, kind of us reacting to some listener voicemails. But anyway, Seth, thank you, and shout out to you, my friend. Hope you are well.
And the voice that's calling out to you. Shout out to them, too.
Less of a shout out to them.
As Scott would say, answer them.
He did.
Maybe demons do exist.
I think you're right.
They still don't exist.
I think you're right, Christian. I think maybe they do.
I feel sorry for people that have to live in a world where they believe in demons. Come at me, bro. Exactly.
You know?
I taunt demons all the time on this show. Have I seen one show up?
Yes. You don't need to see one show up when it resides within you, you know?
There's no demon inside of me. Not any.
There's no way to tell without cutting you open.
The demons inside me are no different than the demons in you or all of our listeners.
Wow. You hear that, listeners?
I've dealt with maybe demons do exist.
Wow. Look at that. We figured it out.
Yeah.
You proved it for ourselves.
I've dealt with them.
Well, I'm sure you have. Anyway, this next story is called Another Voice. Very creative titles this episode, Christian. Way to go. Thank you. Anyway, this is by Cool Gorl 77.
Is this related to Coral?
Cool Gorl? Sure.
You didn't watch The Walking Dead, so you don't know what I'm talking about.
I definitely didn't, and I definitely don't. One time, I was babysitting 2 little boys. They were about 1 year old and 3 years old at the time. The 3-year-old had a little music player in his room for when he went to bed. I had already put the 1-year-old to sleep and just put the 3-year-old to bed. I went downstairs and started playing on my phone. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes later, I heard a man's voice coming from upstairs where the kids were. I bolted upstairs, but there was no one there, though I still heard the man's voice. I stood outside the 3-year-old's door, and it sounded like the man and the little boy were talking. Creepy. I checked on the 1-year-old who was still asleep. Finally, I got the courage to go into the 3-year-old's room, and as soon as I opened the door, the talking stopped, and the little boy was fast asleep. The music player was softly playing a melody. I turned off the music, left his room, and went back downstairs. Once again, I heard the man's voice. At this point, I was terrified and called my friends for help. Shortly after, the parents got back. I still have no idea who or what it was. I never told the parents because I thought they would think I was crazy, but I never went back there again. It's a no from me on the whole hearing a man's voice in the child's room bit, you know?
But we hear so many stories about it. It makes you wonder, like, sure, wires could get crossed. They could pick up radio signals just floating through the air.
And we kind of talked about for a little bit, and this is more visuals than actually audibly hearing voices, but recently we talked about the idea of like having a life review and people like going in the future and going in the past and this whole thing. And maybe that's like glimpses of ghosts that we catch. There's so many stories out there where like kids will wake up and just see someone sitting in a chair looking at them, smiling or even maybe not smiling and just being creepy as fuck. And then they'll see a picture later and be like, oh, that was my great grandfather, it turns out. You know, so you could just be catching something in the middle of like a life review of sorts, or this guy is seeing what his family is like down the line, and he's just experiencing that as a spectral entity or something like that. The voice thing is a little creepier for whatever reason.
What if it's a necessary part of life that our ancestors come visit our children and talk to them, and it's a normal thing for the children in most cases that they don't remember,
or sometimes they do remember. Like
sometimes they remember it in a scary way because because we're all different, even children.
Even children,
like they're all a little different, and maybe some of them just whatever they see or hear is a lot scarier. You know, some kids don't have the best experiences growing up, so maybe things are a little bit more terrifying, but maybe it's a natural process. Maybe beings or individuals show up and just expound some wisdom to our children that we don't know how it affects them. Maybe they don't know, but down the line it's needed, or a process that repeats itself.
It doesn't seem like any wisdom is ever shared. They're not like, hey, remember this when you're... It's always just like a fleeting moment or a weird thing, and sometimes they don't even speak. They just kind of look.
But sometimes if they are sharing stuff, we may not remember it, but our subconscious would.
Wow.
So it would be there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe demons just like children. Maybe demons do exist.
And we're back. Now, it is kind of weird hearing a conversation from the other side of the door, opening it up and the kid's asleep. No one's there.
Maybe you ever think
it's like a dream thing? You like tap into his dream or something like that. It's like out in the ether around you.
Could be. Or, you know, and when I say children are kind of magical.
Of course you do. Yeah.
Maybe they create a world around us that we don't see because they don't have all the blocks going on and our blocks. The mind is a powerful thing.
Wow. That's fine, I guess.
You know, it's not fine. I think I'm sick.
Christian, that is not fine, especially because you're around me.
I'm over here. You're way over there.
But you have touched doorknobs and stuff in this house, and I got to tell you, it's not great.
But you have sanitizing wipes.
I do, and you know I'm going to go to town on this house the second you leave.
I do.
But are you going to get my entire family sick before you leave? That's the question.
Maybe you guys got me sick.
That's kind of hard to do when we weren't sick, but I can see why you try to point the blame somewhere else, you know?
Beat it out of them.
That's fine.
That's what the babysitters do.
That's what the babysitters do. They beat it out of them.
Sometimes I feel like that could have, maybe I needed a trigger warning on that one. Too late.
You needed a trigger warning on that one?
Yeah, because some people did probably get beat by their babysitters. It's a sad world we live in.
Okay, well, I just had someone, lean into me for not needing trigger warnings for their sensitive ears on YouTube. So, yeah, you know,
Who leaned into you on that?
I don't know. But I don't know. Someone on YouTube.
Did we need to put a trigger warning in?
No, we bleeped something and they weren't a fan of that because they don't have sensitive ears. So
I'm sorry. Those are the ones you got to worry about.
You got to worry about those ones, apparently. And with that, we say,
beat it out of them.
And we say, this next story is called Dad's Home. It's by Westies Are My Besties.
Daddy's home.
Made it creepier. Back in high school, I babysat 3 kids, 1 girl and 2 boys, all under the age of 12, during summer break in my junior and senior years. I also watched these kids while their mom took evening college courses once a week during the school year. Unfortunately, the kids had lost their father after he suffered a massive heart attack in the gym in the basement of their home. He was dead before the medics arrived.
Steroids.
Wow. Judgmental, turns out.
I wasn't judging. I was just putting a theory out there.
A pretty fucked up theory. Someone lost their dad from a heart attack, and you're like, he was probably on steroids because he was working out. Classic heathen, Christian. That's a classic heathen response.
You had to keep up. You know, you got to get the muscles when you're like that, and then you can get all the extra girls on the side. Of course, he had a heart attack.
Wow. And now this man is stepping out on his wife, apparently. He was just trying to get a quick workout in, ended up dying, and now he's a cheating, lying bastard, according to Christian, who is, may I remind you, almost always wrong on this podcast. Anyway, I'm going to continue. It says, I never really felt anything unusual in their house, which was a huge 3-story home, and I always felt right at home there. One early morning during the summer, I got to their house around 5:45 a.m. and wished the mother a great day at work. After she left, I opened the book I was reading and settled into a cozy recliner while I waited for the kids to wake up. Typically, they wouldn't get up until 7:30 or 8. My eyes grew heavy, so I set an alarm on my phone and decided to rest a bit before they woke up. As I slept, I felt a large hand gently grab my shoulder and shake me slightly. Thinking it was one of the boys, I quickly said, "Oh, I'm just resting my eyes." But when I opened them, I realized no one was there. I felt a presence in the room and got a little freaked out. Feeling unnerved, I went upstairs to wake the kids by enticing them with their favorite Friday morning activity, making waffles. I'm not sure if it was their dad, but from that point on, I never took a nap before the kids got up. I always acknowledged their dad by saying a little hello and reminding him that I was just the babysitter.
Why would you have to
remind him?
Yeah.
Because he's stupid. Remember? He was just a steroid guy that stepped out on his wife all the time, and he's a stupid bastard.
Now he's a demon because of the bad things he did.
Sure, why not? You know, in a Christian world, who's to say, really? I don't like the disembodied grabbing stuff. You know, I've mentioned I've had that a couple times. You've had it a couple times. It's always uncomfortable because when you turn, well, not for you, is grabbing your buttocks, but you know, for the rest of us that are not heathens, it was not a fun experience. You know,
I love the probing.
I know, and that's why you're okay with it. But for the rest of us, we don't love the probing, Christian. It is frowned upon.
You've taken my words out of context.
The Lord is watching.
Watching the probing?
Hell yeah.
The Lord sounds like
Randy
Macho Man Savage.
Or Jeff Bezos, as I mentioned earlier. But I don't know if that was on the podcast, so I guess I'll mention it again.
It takes me back to Randy Macho Man Savage. What about all you guys out there listening? Who does that remind you of?
Randy Macho Man Savage? Oh, wow. It reminded them of that, too. And they all sound like my child.
I felt like I was talking to your child because he makes me do that voice all the time.
I know. It's very strange. We're going to actually close this episode out with 2 stories from the same author, two separate occasions. This first one is called There's Something in the Closet, and the author is Hyrule Chris. Oh, yes, of course. Zelda Magic. Never played it, but everyone in my life has played it, so I'm familiar with all of the characters and the.
I haven't played it. I didn't play it all that time it was out or popular until probably the last few years.
Yeah.
I get it. I get why people like it.
I can't do open worlds. It's too annoying.
I'm not patient enough.
Exactly. I'm like, I just want to shoot things and kill people. Where is the next thing? Especially in like Star Wars when they do like that. I'm like, ugh, just give me a roadmap. You know, I don't want to have to be, pull up your map and view the entire planet. Like, I don't know where anyone's at. I'm not familiar with this planet, damn it. I just want to slice people up.
Call of Duty, man.
No, they don't have lightsabers in Call of Duty. I checked.
That's true. But anyway. I did see Michael Myers in the new update.
Congratulations.
I get a little pissed off every time somebody dressed as Michael Myers gets me. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it's really annoying.
Wow. That is a weird thing. But that's fine. This is the show for weird things, if anything. Anyway, this is story 1 from Hyrule Chris called There's Something in the Closet. Says, okay, well, 2 times I babysat. Once with an actual baby who was 1 year old at the time, and I also house sat / puppy sat for another friend another time. I've done a few other jobs, but these 2 were the creepiest. The first time was with the 1 year old. I was friends with his mom and aunt, though I was actually closer friends with the aunt. I was visiting them when the mom needed a ride and asked if I could stay to watch her son while my friend, the aunt, drove her to get a few things. I said sure, mainly because the baby was already put to bed, so I figured it wouldn't be much work. This was around 7 p.m. They left, and about 15 minutes later I heard a thump. Both of their rooms are next to each other, and my friend had her cat locked in her room because her sister and I are allergic to cats. I assumed the noise was the cat and continued watching TV in the living room. 5 minutes later, I heard another smaller thump. I decided to check on the cat first. I know, probably a bad move. I figured the cat was the culprit, and that if I calmed it down, it wouldn't wake the baby. I opened the door, and the cat was asleep on my friend's pillow. At first, I thought the little jerk was just pretending or something. Yeah, the cat's pretending to be asleep because he was being naughty.
This person is not only allergic to cats.
They're stupid. Cats. No, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a different way to take it, sure. But as I was staring at the cat, I heard the thump again, this time from the baby's room. I freaked out, thinking the baby had fallen out of the crib. Before I could even close my friend's door, the cat freaked out and hid under the bed, and the baby started crying in the next room. I was sure he had fallen, so I rushed over and opened the door, only to find him standing up in his crib, crying. Relieved that he hadn't fallen, I went to calm him down. Now, for some reason, the electrical in her room doesn't work very well. The light switch doesn't work, so you have to turn on the floor lamp manually. So there I was in a dark room, aside from a tiny nightlight, with a crying baby. It suddenly hit me. What the hell was making that noise? I turned on the light and looked around. The closet door was open, and some things seemed moved around, but nothing looked like it had fallen several times. I closed the closet, mainly because the baby was crying while staring at it. Being the horror movie geek I am, I thought, okay, let's close that closet. He calmed down, and after about 5 minutes, he was back asleep. I left the light on, and the door cracked so I could hear him, but not wake him up with the TV noise. That lasted about 10 minutes before I heard another thump. I got up and peeked in. The baby was still asleep, but the closet was open again. It's a sliding door closet, which isn't as creepy as a walk-in, but actually, I had one of those, and equally creepy, turns out. But closets in general are creepy at night. My first instinct was to run. Wow. But I manned up and went to check the closet to see what could have opened it. There was nothing. I told myself it might be a mouse or something. This mouse is sliding the closet door open. Hey, anyone any cookies in here? No? Okay.
I think people sometimes forget that mice are really tiny.
They are really tiny.
But with all the cartoons and Mickey Mouse and stuff like that, we kind of imagine them a little bit bigger than they are.
Yeah, this person probably thought it was like a life-size mouse, like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
And was just sitting in the closet opening and closing it. That seems rational. Yeah.
Mickey's come out of the closet.
Wow. Been there for a while now. I told myself it might be a mouse or something, a big mouse that could open the closet door. So I closed it again, checked on the baby, and went back to the living room. Not even 5 minutes later, the baby started crying again. This time, there was no noise, so I figured it was just a normal baby thing, like the light bothering him, or maybe he needed a diaper change. I went back in, and the closet was slightly open again. I was extremely freaked out by this point, so I texted my friend telling her to get back home ASAP. Wow, that's not what you want to get as like a mother.
No.
Like, what the hell's wrong with my baby? Like, no, I think there's something spooky in the closet. Anyway, see ya. I went to close the closet door again. As I reached for it, I heard a small thump, and suddenly one of those baby police car toys with sirens went off from inside the closet. I opened the closet slowly, and there it was, just going off by itself. The baby was still crying his head off, and I knew for sure that toy wasn't in the closet before. I took it out, put it away, closed the closet door, and got the baby back to sleep. This time, I stayed in the room with him.
Very brave.
Very brave. He didn't go back to sleep, but I could tell he had tired himself out from crying. He just laid there staring at me like, get me the hell out of here. I felt uneasy in that room, like something or someone was watching me, and they were pissed off, especially near the closet. After about 15 minutes, I stood up to leave. That's when the light turned off by itself. Now, you have to turn the lamp on and off manually since the wall switch doesn't work. I figured the bulb blew out, so I made my way toward the lamp using the nightlight as a guide. As I reached the lamp, I heard the closet door sliding open. I don't think I've ever been so scared in my life. My instincts kicked in, screaming, "Turn on the light." I felt around for the switch on the lamp, hoping it would work, and it did. I was both relieved and creeped out. The bulb hadn't burned out, and yet somehow the light had turned off on its own. The light was back on, and when I turned around, I didn't see anything, thank God. I grabbed the baby, shut the closet, then shut the door to the room behind me. I held the baby in the living room until his mom and my friend got back around 9 p.m. At first, the mom was pissed that I had taken him out of the crib and that he was still awake. But I was like, you need an exorcist or someone to bless this house because something is not okay here. I don't think she fully believed me. She said she had noticed some small things happening before, but nothing like that. That was almost a year ago, and apparently nothing that drastic has happened since. Weird stuff seems to happen around me a lot. I've been told I'm a magnet for these things, so I'm not sure if whatever happened was because I was there or if I brought it with me or activated something. They did a prayer of some kind to bless the house or apartment afterwards, so maybe that helped. Weird. Babies, right? Closets. What's with closets and babies? Why are they so spooky?
They're not spooky. They just seem spooky because they're dark. And
Yeah.
it's another, like, it has a doorway. So it's like a portal to another place.
Could be a portal. It's very true. Yeah.
I remember many years ago watching the Ghostbusters cartoon, and there was something in the closet, and it was such a creepy cartoon because of how it dealt with this monster or demon in a closet.
There's some creepy cartoons out there. Courage the Cowardly Dog comes to mind.
Yes.
I've watched maybe 3 episodes of that my entire life, and they still stick with me. I'm like, wow, what a terrifying show this was for kids.
It was pretty crazy. There was a newer one. I don't know if it's as crazy, but
It's Coward the Couragely Dog.
no, it's like, I wish I could remember the name of it. I feel like there's these 2 kids that are kind of off in a forest and just weird stuff happens, aliens and ghosts and all that stuff. It's like a
Nice.
modern Scooby-Doo type of thing.
Hell yeah.
Maybe demons do exist. They still don't.
I think you might be onto something.
Demons were invented by Americans. We religious
fear.
Americans. What? We grasp fear by the neck. Beat it out of them.
All the words. Anyway, what do you think it was, Christian? Opening closet door. The classic old thing, you know, you got the toy that turns on by itself, middle of the night.
Yeah,
Not a fun look.
I think this sequel to whatever scary movie it was is very typical of what we hear.
Classic stuff, really.
Not that I believe it necessarily.
Well,
but,
of course not. That'd be too easy for you. Can't
but
have that.
I mean, if a door is opening in a closet, I mean, we already know the house is not really
Haunted. It can't be haunted.
No, it's just not. If the electrical's not working in the baby's room, there's issues.
weird room to put the baby in if the electrical doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes you don't have a choice. Not all of us are rich.
Put them in the kitchen. Sleep
Hansel-
under this
Hansel and
oven
Gretel?
light.
That
Yeah.
kind of kitchen.
Why not? Why not, Christian? If we're getting weird with it, why not? It's fine. Anyway, the second story from Hyrule Chris is about a dog sitting. So maybe not babysitting, but you get the idea. And it's called Laynie and the Haunted House. It says, I live in a rural area. Nailed it. And the nearest Walmart and Target are about 30 minutes away, just to give you an idea.
That is rural.
That does remind me of my hometown. A friend of mine who lives in another small town nearby up in the mountains, Wrightwood, asked me to house
Wait.
sit and puppy sit.
Did they say Wrightwood or did you say Wrightwood?
They said Wrightwood.
Oh, we're close to home.
Are we? Is Wrightwood in our neck of the woods?
Not here, but in California.
Was it?
Yeah,
I've never heard of it before.
it's like a
Is it off of LA or something like that?
no. It's over towards San Bernardino.
Interesting.
And you go skiing there.
I don't, but somebody does, I'm sure.
Kid I went to school with drowned in a lake there,
Isn't that wholesome?
Jackson Lake.
Well, okay.
I caught a goldfish at Jackson Lake when I was a kid.
Hey, look at that. The lake offers everything. Death to children, goldfish. It's a good time. Anyway, ask me a house sit and puppy sit in Wrightwood where Christian killed a child and caught a goldfish.
Dude, when we get to After Dark, One of these days, I might have to tell a story about
When you killed a child?
about Wrightwood and a teacher.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
After dark, though.
Wow. You guys hear that? You got to pay money to hear when Christian was diddled or something. I don't want to get into that. It's fine.
That was not the case.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it says, I agreed, thinking it would be a free mini vacation. And I actually liked the dog. She was a big, sweet-hearted black lab mix named Laynie. Pronounced Laynie, or however she spelled it. Why you gotta tell me? That is that's the easiest name to say. Spelled Laynie. Obviously, Laynie.
It's not even spelled right.
Technically, no, but it's spelled in a way that is easy to pronounce it. And then you're gonna be like, it's pronounced Laynie. I'm like, yeah, no shit, dude. No shit.
Did you think it was Lanai?
I know, Laynie. Anyway, I drove up to my friend's house, saw her off, and settled in. After getting comfortable, I took Laynie out for a walk. It's pronounced walk. No. It was around 3 p.m., so the sun was still out, but it was cooler and shaded. After our walk, we came home. It's usually how it works. I made myself some dinner and fed Laynie hers, then turned on the TV. I ended up dozing off for a bit. When I woke up, it was later in the evening, around 9 p.m.
I feel like this person is like, I'm going to be like J.R.R. Tolkien and describe every damn thing.
Why not? I got up to stretch, and Laynie, who had been sleeping on the floor next to me, stayed in her spot even as I moved around. Since I hadn't really gotten a tour when I arrived, I decided to explore the house. Not too sure that's how that works. Oh, well, I didn't get a tour, so I guess I'm just going to go be nosy in every room in your house. What you got in this medicine cabinet?
That's not where, well, that's where some people would look. Other people would look in the dresser next to the bed.
True. I'm just going to put like the weirdest items I can think of in both my medicine cabinet and my dresser whenever we have people like watching our house. They'll be like, what the actual hell? I can't stay here. These people are lunatics. And it's true. Anyway, it was a decent-sized house. 2 bathrooms and 4 rooms, including the master bedroom. The master was on the left side of the house by itself with an ensuite bathroom. Oh. The other 3 rooms were on the opposite side, down a hallway, with another bathroom at the end. In the middle of the house was the kitchen, dining, and living room. My friend had recently moved in about a month ago, but had only lived there for 3 weeks due to business trips. The house had big windows, which made it kind of creepy at night, especially the ones in the living room facing the small backyard that didn't have any curtains or blinds.
What's the name of this writer?
Hyrule Chris.
Hyrule Chris. I'm thoroughly bored with your story.
Wow. Well, you get into it in a little bit. They're very descriptive, yes. While there weren't any neighbors behind her, it was still unsettling. The extra rooms were being used as storage for the time. She planned to turn one of them into an office and the others into guest rooms. After checking them out, I closed all the doors, then went through my usual lockup routine, turning off all the lights before sitting back down to watch TV. Around midnight, Laynie started whining, so I let her out in the backyard to pee. She was running around, sniffing, doing her usual dog stuff while I stood in the doorway, freezing and asking her to hurry up. That's when I heard a crashing noise inside the house. Both Laynie and I froze. I peeked inside to see if the noise had come from the kitchen or living room, but I didn't see anything. I assumed something had just fallen over in one of the rooms. Laynie finished up and we came back inside. I decided to check the house and see what had fallen. Laynie followed me to the entrance of the hallway but stopped and started whimpering, her tail between her legs. She began to growl softly. At first, I thought she didn't recognize me because the hall light was off, so I called out to her, but she still seemed scared. I opened the first door and looked around, but nothing seemed to have fallen. I left, closing the door behind me. Laynie was now lying on the floor at the hallway entrance, still whimpering. I checked the second room across the hall, same result, everything was fine. Then I opened the third door, and there, I found a box had fallen over. I picked everything up and moved the box. That's when I noticed the window was open a bit, which freaked me out. For a moment, I thought someone had broken in, but I realized now how unlikely that was since I hadn't heard any doors open or close. I closed and locked the window, checked the rest of the house, and went back to the living room. Laynie settled by my feet, and I started to doze off again. Just as I was falling asleep, Laynie began barking furiously toward the dark hallway. Half asleep and freaking out, I thought someone might have broken in. I turned on all the lights and noticed the door to the third bedroom, the same room where the box had fallen, was slightly open. Classic horror movie scenario, right? So in a panic, I grabbed a kitchen knife and checked the room. The window was still closed and nothing seemed out of place. I checked all the other rooms, the bathrooms, and even the master bedroom. No one was there. It was 2 a.m. I decided to head to bed and Laynie followed me to the master bedroom. I had a strong feeling that I should close the door, and so I did. I got into bed and Laynie settled into her little corner. I tried to sleep. Then I woke up to a loud slamming noise. I was disoriented and Laynie was barking like crazy, jumping on the bed and barking at the door. I got up, put my glasses on, and went to investigate. It sounded like a door had slammed shut. I walked through the living room and kitchen. Everything seemed fine. When I reached the hallway, all the doors were closed, except the third bedroom, which had light shining from under it. That's when I heard growling. I turned, and it was Laynie, the hair on her neck standing up and her teeth bared. She was ready to tear something apart. I whispered, "Good girl, get ready." I waved her over, but she didn't move, so I knew I was on my own. I crept toward the door, heart pounding. I opened it, and no one was there. But the light was on, and the boxes had been moved, almost like they had been thrown, but none of them had opened up. It freaked me out. It was now 3:15 a.m. I turned off the light, closed the door, and went back to the master bedroom. I couldn't sleep. I kept this small TV on, and Laynie jumped onto the bed with me. I just couldn't relax. Finally, around 6:30, sunlight started to peek in, and I felt like it was safe enough to sleep. My friend was due back later that evening, so I figured I had time to get some rest. Laynie woke me up wanting to go out around noon. I let her out, then walked through the house and noticed that all the doors in the hallway were wide open. I peeked into each room, but no one was there. I closed the doors again, feeling like I was being watched. A little while later, I got a text from my friend saying she'd be home earlier than expected. I was thrilled, but also worried for her. She got home an hour and a half later and asked how Laynie was. I told her she was amazing, but then I mumbled, "But your house wasn't." She looked at me confused, so I explained straight out. "Weird stuff happened last night. Either you have an invisible ninja throwing boxes around, or there's something ghostly here."
We grasp fear.
That's when she came clean. She told me the house was about 60 years old and had some history. An old man had passed away in the master bedroom, and years ago a kid had gone missing from the house, along with other strange things. I told her that whatever was in the house felt darker than just an old man or a missing child. There was something more ominous.
There is nothing darker than a missing child.
Wow.
I don't know.
Weird place to get heated, but all right.
Yeah.
There was something more ominous, I felt. She didn't stay long in that house after that. She got tired of the commute and ended up moving down to the city. She was only renting the house, so it really wasn't hard for her to leave.
We're still in Wrightwood, right?
We are right. In Wrightwood, right.
I can't believe you don't know about Wrightwood.
I can. I've driven by the house a couple of times since then, and I still get a weird vibe from it. Well, that's my story. Maybe it's lame, but it felt terrifying at the time. The house was slightly isolated, and I was alone except for the dog. At least when I babysat that little boy, I was in an apartment complex with people around who could hear me scream if I needed help. Plus, I could carry the kid and run if things got bad. So referring back to the first story, obviously. Oh, and one more thing. I remembered that when I dozed off on the couch, I had the creepy sensation that something was standing over me. And one time when I woke up, it felt like someone had been grabbing my arm. It was just weird.
So Wrightwood is like a little small mountain town.
Okay.
Kind of like Big Bear, but smaller.
We call it Little Bear.
No, it's Wrightwood.
This is Big Bear, and over here you got Little Bear.
Did you ever drive on the 138 going down toward like Fontana, San Bernardino? The opposite.
Once or twice. I really didn't go that direction too often.
Wrightwood, you pass through Wrightwood when you go through the mountains there.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty strange. No, it's fine. Yeah, that's really all I got for you. Kind of spooky. You know, dogs. I love when animals are also interacting with creepy stuff. You know, it helps me believe it a little bit more.
I do and I don't, because also a lot of times animals, especially dogs, are reacting to us. So
unless they react first, and then you're like, what's going on over here?
No, sometimes they know what we're feeling beforehand. Like they know when we're scared before we kind of register it. Like,
and so the dog's going to be like, oh, I'm just going to mess with them. Oh, something's down this hallway. Arr.
No, if you're on edge, the dog's going to, I mean, not in this case because they're babysitting, but a lot of times if you're on edge, the dog will read that. And that's where you'll see some dogs get aggressive if they like out on a walk because they'll feel their owner get a little bit nervous. But in this case, doors opening, spooky house, guy dying in the house, and then a kid disappearing. That's a lot of crap to be happening in a house.
It's a lot of dark energy afoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree, Christian. Maybe demons are real.
They are not, but
You can't prove that one way or the other.
you can't prove they are real.
Exactly. So we're at a standstill, which is why the podcast lives on for one more day. Yeah.
Imagine being me, somebody that's like science, but then I'm like, if science gets too advanced, we won't have a podcast.
So maybe not science. No.
It just shows you the struggle is real. Like,
The struggle is indeed real, Christian. I'm finding that out myself for the very first time in my life. It's been such a cakewalk up until this episode. And now I'm realizing, hey, everything sucks. Yeah, everything sucks. That's going to be a great song. I'm going to put that together. Anyway.
maybe you don't want to pass that on to our listeners.
As our listeners will find out in TFT the musical, it gets so much weirder than everything sucks. All right. The first, and I'm going to tease it just a second. All right. This is not going to come out for probably a couple more months for you guys, maybe even longer, depending on how long it takes for me to build up a bit of a catalog. TFT the musical, the first episode is titled An Evening of Gnomes and Mariachi. So if you gotta dive in and be weird right off the bat, and the first episode of TFT the musical is Mariachi. So buckle up. Marlene, get ready. It's your time to shine. Does that sound racist? It's a Texas thing more than it's a, you know what?
Mariachi is great on vacation.
Hell yeah.
I don't know about any other time.
Quinceañeras.
I've never been to one.
Same. But I assume they got, you know what? Is that racist thing for me to assume that mariachi is played at, you know what, guys? Hey, turns out maybe I'm racist. My bad.
I almost feel like I need to bring one of my dad's sayings. And when you say assume,
You make an ass out of you and me.
Yep.
Yep. Everyone says that, Christian, even the annoying coworker I have.
I don't say that because I try not to say too many sayings, my dad said.
Yeah.
Out of principle. Not that my dad's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's just really old school and I'm not.
He's got a lot of sayings. That happens.
Old people, man.
Yeah, some people get triggered the second you say assume. They're like, well, you know what they say about assuming. And I'm like, yes, I know what they say about assuming. I was saying, I assume this. They're like, no, you can't use the word assume. I'm like, all right, hey, how about let's just take a break. Let's take a breath.
Assume. It's a Japanese word, meaning old people are going to be asshole or weird for a minute.
There you go. You got a little scunge of the assume. It's like fucking Ross and Friends. Unagi.
Did you hear they're coming out with Friends again?
No.
I just can't see it, man. You can't capture something.
You can't recapture Friends.
I mean, Friends and Seinfeld were just a moment in time. Yeah. And that time passed. We don't live in those glory days of the 90s anymore.
Of sitcoms, yeah.
The peak of human society.
It really was. I know, because I was born right in that glory day. That's why the 90s were so great. It's because I kickstarted them. You're welcome.
And like the Mayans said, we get to the new millennium and everything is trash. Except for my life. I have a good life.
Okie dokie then.
I spent an hour watching your son bounce on a bed singing yesterday. That's not too bad.
That's not too shabby. You know what? He brings great joy to everyone around him.
Especially when he was doing the bouncy song and the slow motion part came on.
I know.
I was dying.
I know. I'll do slow motion with him and he always cracks up.
I do it too. Like I'll make him go up in the air real slow. This time he did it by himself on his bed.
Yeah, he just sits there like, that's dead, bro. Get it. That is all I got for everyone. See you later. Just kidding. We'll be right back here next week on the Frinkity Dinkity. Let us know. Have you, any of our listeners have some creepy babysitter experiences while you're out there?
What about creepy babies? We like those too.
Even better. You got creepy babies? What'd you do to them? What'd you do with them?
Stop it.
That wasn't where I was going, you pervert. Did you hide him somewhere?
No, you're like,
murder?
It's okay. It's nothing.
We grasp fear. Anyway.
It's like we enjoy it. Well, we do kind of enjoy it.
A little bit.
I think it's a natural process that we have to have in our life.
We grasp it so well.
But then we want to hold on to it like it actually, like the things we're afraid of actually matter, and most of them don't.
Most of them don't. That's fine, folks. Find us on social media wherever you're at. We are also at Freaky Deaky Pod. And be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Be sure to leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening. And give us your thoughts on the episode, unless they're negative, in which case I'll rip you a new one.
Keep up with your comments all over the place.
Christian's here to salvage whatever this ending was.
And if you don't, Scott's going to bleep out other words that you guys will wonder about.
That's right. And they're going to be useless words like the and. People are going to be like, oh my God, there's so much crazy shit in this episode. I wish I knew what it was about.
We got to do this. We got to do this with the musical. There was an old X-Files episode where basically it was the weirdest episode basically the whole thing was them cussing, especially Mulder. But instead of bleeping it out. He would say bleep. Like everybody would say bleep every time. It was so weird, but it was hilarious.
Well, there you go.
I need to rewatch that.
You do. And while you do that, we're going to go ahead and hit the old dusty trail around these parts.
It's not dusty.
It's been windy as fuck out there. It's very dusty. That might be why you're feeling like you might be sick.
That might be.
We were driving yesterday, hazy as hell on the horizon. So.
I was driving by the lake yesterday, and I was like, holy crap. I didn't even realize it was windy, but those waves.
I know. I was standing by there because I dropped my car off, and I was like, damn, that looks like the ocean right now.
Yeah, I did.
It was that wild. But you guys don't care about that. And if you did, welcome to TFT After Dark later. Anyway, we'll see ya. Goodbye.
Peace.
Bigfoot is stalking by your window. Dog man is scratching at your door. Ghosties are walking up and down your halls at night, and the hat man is coming back for more. Your name is Christian, you love a can of beans, and you're the wettest blanket skeptic this world has ever seen. You're almost always wrong, it's quite an impressive streaky. This song has rambled on too long, welcome to the freaky deaky. Your name is Christian, you're named ironically, because the only belief you have can be found in a can of beans. You're almost never right, and now you get roasted weekly. This song has rambled on too long, welcome to the freaky deaky. Also ghosts exist, just an FYI. Aliens are feeling blue. The Ouija demon's lonely, because they believe in you. They believe in you. God is always right.